Alright, welcome back. In this video, we are going to be creating to-dos for each to-do list. Like I said before, a to-do list can have 5 to-dos. So, we'll create to-dos for each to-do list. And to do that, the first thing we have to do is let us include this in our app, so that we don't have to come to the terminal for Flask to run every time. You can just use Ctrl F5 to run the app. And also make sure your virtual environment is activated here, just here. Make sure the virtual environment is then selected. Alright, so let's move on. So what we're going to do is create the controller. So at app.route, and the link will be to-do list / list ID. Now the meaning of this list ID here, this one being covered in this bracket, shows that it is going to be a variable. So if we enter in our URL to-do list /4, that 4 is going to be passed in a variable that is called list ID. So it helps us to get the variable from the web page. So then we define our function, and the name of the function can be get to do list. So we pass in that same list ID there. So the first thing we are going to query for is the list. Lists is equal to do list dot query dot all to get all the lists that we have. So it's just similar to what we have done before in this index page. So we are trying to get all the to-do lists. The next thing we are going to get is the active list. Because I said we are going to create to-dos for each to-do list. So for us to be able to create to-dos for one particular to-do list, it has to be active. And for it to be active, we need a way to be able to identify it and to work with that particular list. So we are going to query for the active list also, dot get list ID. So this is going to determine, maybe we enter to-do list /2, then the list ID is going to be 2. So in this active list, it is the second one. It is the list with ID of 2 that will be active. So whatever we do, whatever we create, will be created for this particular list. And the next one is the to-dos itself. Although we have not created any new to-do, but let's keep querying. To-do dot query dot filter by list ID is equal to list ID. So what we are going to do, okay, let's go back to our model and check something. In our models, we have list ID here, and this list ID is a foreign key. That is, it links to the ID here. So every to-do we have a list ID which references it to the to-do list it belongs to. That's what we are doing here. So this list ID, we want to check if the list ID here is equal to this list ID that is passed here. Let it display those particular results, and that's what we are going to do. Then let's make it ordered, because it's a to-do list. They come in order of preference. You have to put water on fire first before you can cook anything by boiling. So order by, we're going to order it by ID, and .all. So every result that follows this condition, that passes this condition, will be returned. That's what we're going to do. Then after that, we'll return back to our web page, return redirect template, render template, return render template. And what template are we rendering? Our index.html. That's the only web page we have. Index.html, comma. Then to do is equal to do, comma. List is equal to list, and active list is equal to active list. Now these things here, they are the parameters that are trying to pass into the web page. So this web page index.html is able to recognize these to-dos. We can pass it, we can use it as a variable, we can manipulate it on the web page using our Ginger template. To-dos, so this value we enter here, this value we enter here, and this value we enter here. So that's what we have. And also since we are going to pass in the list here, this what we have here in this list is the same thing as what we have here. So we do not need this again. We do not need this one again. So what we can just do is return redirect get to do list, comma, list id is equal to 1. So what I've just done here is, once you open our web page and afresh, I want you to just go to this function, get to do list, which is this. So I want you to just open this directly. Once I open my web page, I want you to open it directly, and I want the list ID, that is this thing here, I want it to be 1. I want it to be 1. So if we have 5 lists, I want the current active list to be 1 when I just open the web page. So go back to our index.html file and we'll make some modifications. So what we are going to do now is, let's just remove this. So we'll have a for list in list. Remember, we have returned list here. By returning this list is the total, is the list, the to-do list that we have. So for list in list, now we can create a link. List slash list.id. So for every list in the list, we want to create a link. We want to create an anchor tag that will have a reference of this. Okay, to do this. Yes, so we want you to follow this link, and we want the list ID to be the ID of that particular list that we are working with. So then we want it to be the name, list.name. Want to identify it by the name, list.name. Then we can end our tag, end for. Okay, let's run our app and see what we have. Control F5. Okay, there's an error here. Type error. Got an unexpected keyword. List ID. Alright, I think where this error is coming from is here. We made a mistake. So this should be return redirect URL for. Yes, to be URL for. Alright, it's supposed to be URL for. So, and we have passed in the argument here. This one, we have passed it in here. So it should be URL for. Let's click Control 5 again. So now we can go to our app. Alright, now we can see that after opening our app, the first, if you look at the URL here, you can see it is automatically one. You know, we just started running our app and it is one already. That's because for the index page, we have redirected it to this particular one, and we have made the default list ID to be one. So by default, we are going to have the first one active. We are going to have the first one active. So once we create to-do lists for this first one, once we create to-do list for this first list here, it is going to display. It is going to be displayed. So once we just start our app for the first time, it is going to display all the to-dos for just this first one. Then when we want to change it, we can click on this second one. Can you see it here? It's changing. Once we want to change again, click on this third one. Can you see now? It is changing. And we can see every track of all our routing here. To-do list 1, to-do list 2, to-do list 3. In the next one, since we now have, we now can identify each to do and we can make each to do active. We know how to make each to do active. We are going to create to do for each list and for the list that is active.